Hi, everyone. Welcome back from American Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. Wow, that's a whole lot of retail shopping deals, all in one little weekend. And then, like Cinderella's carriage, poof, it's changed back to a pumpkin or inflated prices for those last-minute shoppers until Christmas. If you're trying to take a break from all of that frenzy, just grab a beverage, whether it's hot tea, hot toddy, or whatever, and listen to my show. I've got a really great show today for you. My guest is Wendy Chow, and she is from The Weekend Quilter and is a co-host of the podcast Quilt Buzz. We have a long chat about everything quilting, including quilted coats for humans and dogs. I love it. And the new release of her second book called The Quilted Home Handbook, and that will be available for purchase in late January of 2023. Let's get started with some chit chat, and I'm going to start with a personal update. The Friday before Thanksgiving, I was hit with a terrible vertigo attack and sinus infection. Sinus infections are not new to me. I get them all the time, but I have never had vertigo before, and I never want it again. It hasn't gone away though, so I'm not going to go into the gory details, but you imagine the worst, and that's what it was. 3 days after the initial onset, I couldn't do anything. No knitting, no hand sewing, nada. All I could do was lay in bed and try to not make my head spin. And then after a visit to immediate care, I was slowly on the mend, and I am continuing to try to recover from this. It's not gone yet. So, simple movements of walking around, and doing physical activity just brings up the dizziness. So it's really kind of gotten in the way of my everyday activities. I can say that. But at least I can now do things like knitting in the evenings and, other, crafty tasks to enjoy. This week I'm going to try to get back into my sewing studio. I've got to catch up on sewing commission projects, but I just have to take it really slow. So anyway, that is how my Thanksgiving went. I pretty much I stayed home, and couldn't visit with family or anything, but I FaceTimed and talked with people on the phone. So thank goodness for modern day technology where it does allow you to see and speak with your loved ones. And for those of you in my Mighty Networks group, Make and Decorate Friends, I know I have not posted in a while, but I will get back to it soon. But remember, you can post projects that you're working on or have completed. You can post at any time in the Make and Decorate Friends group. So don't be shy. Everybody wants to see what everyone else is working on. And we love to get inspired by each other's projects. And again, it can be quilting, knitting, crochet, crafts, Cricut, anything you can make and decorate. So let's see what you got going on. Last year, we ended up getting the cutest, like a little 4-foot real Fraser fir Christmas tree in mid-December. It was like on clearance. And we thought we might do the same thing this year, get that cute little Fraser fir real tree, wait for clearance pricing, but we're not confident that there will be anything left to clearance, or if it is, maybe it's not going to go on sale. So too much up in the air. And I've always wanted to upgrade our artificial tree anyway, because I have been using this, what I call a Charlie Brown tree. It was a Black Friday deal. It has to be 15 years ago now. Got it from Joann's. I mean, it was like not on Black Friday special for like $30. And it's just not one of those like really full. And I mean, it's like you do pay for what you get. But at the time it worked fine. And then throughout the years, I'd buy those, pine garlands and kind of like stuff it in between the branches to like fill it out. And that worked as well. But it's so labor intensive. And then, the last time we tried to use it last year, the lights didn't work and it was a whole thing. So it's definitely time to upgrade the tree. And early, I was on the hunt for an artificial tree because I have learned I have passed up those early sales in the season thinking that Black Friday was going to yield the best sale price on a Christmas tree, but that is false. It is not the best time. The best time is to snag those early sales. So like when Michael's has those 60% off in late August, September, jump on those. I ended up getting a pretty nice tree from Menards. I've been wanting like a really nice tree. And of course, those $500 trees are amazing, but there's no way I would ever spend that on an artificial tree that goes on display for 1 month a year. I did get a decent tree, and it was in the perfect price range, and it was in the perfect, that step up in quality where you get those nice blend of branches that look real. And then some of those little branches mixed into it was like a long needle with little tiny, sort of bits of snow on it, but not too much. I love it. And even though I was down last week, my husband was very helpful, and he, really put up the tree. I helped by, bending out the tree branches, what they call fluffing the tree. And oh my gosh, it was just amazing. I was so glad he did that, because at first, when your head is spinning and dizzy and headachy, you just don't feel like doing anything. But once we got that tree out and up and plugged it in, oh man, it was just like, it is on. The holidays are on. Oh, I got so excited. And then Black Friday, I shopped for some special ornaments, because I realized I have not gotten a special ornament in well over 10 years. And I used to get special ornaments at least like one every year. I had some gifted to me by friends back in the day, and I don't know, for some reason, just fell off of that. And then I did change the color scheme about 5 years ago. I think it was back in 2018, and I talked about it on the show, I believe. But I changed from the traditional color scheme to a rose gold champagne tree. It's really beautiful and pretty. But I just got the big pack of ornaments from Michael's, and then I did, filter in some of my existing ornaments that would go with that color scheme. It was really a beautiful tree. But now with this new tree and wanting to really make it, kind of more special, and fun, something to look forward to, I am using that rose gold theme, but I'm adding to it and adding some depth to the color palette. and I am putting in some burgundy mercury glass ornaments and antique gold ones. They're from Pottery Barn, and I can't wait to get them online. They look so beautiful, and I can envision how that would look with the rose gold ornaments and the champagne ones. Oh, it's so exciting. I cannot wait. So that was my Black Friday purchase. I finished all of my gift purchasing, before Black Friday because I had nothing but time on my hands. And so I actually, that's one good thing that I was able to accomplish is getting all of my family's gifts completed and done. So that feels pretty good too. So those are kind of filtering in slowly in the mail. That's my personal update. And again, I am so glad that I can knit again in the evenings. I can't knit like long marathon hours and hours, but I can at least knit for an hour and a half to 2 hours, which I will take it because it's better than not just, being able to do anything. And I've been working on the Arne and Carlos Christmas ball ornaments. I am on day 3 of this year's ornaments. I'm not that far ahead, and I really can't complete a single ornament in like one sitting. It takes me 2 to 3 to complete it. So even though I've got a couple ahead of time, this starts on today, Thursday, the 1st of December. So, I'm sure I will fall behind after the 3rd, for the ornaments, but that's okay. I'm just really happy that this year I can actually knit, with DPN, double pointed needles, and make these beautiful ornaments. So on the ornaments, they have you chain crochet the loop that attaches on the top of the ball so it could be hung onto the tree. And that's nice. But I have this Prim I-cord maker that I got last year and haven't used yet. So I wanted to use that to make the loops for the tops of these ornaments. And it is a lot of fun. I wasn't sure if it was going to be too complicated because there's 4 hooks and there's a weight and all this stuff, but I pulled out like a TV tray table, and I was able to hook it, onto the side of the table, and it just couldn't have been easier. And once you get going, I guess the hardest thing is just to keep your hand and arm like moving, because you have to manually turn it and turn it and turn it as it will continue to knit the I-cord. But it's so much fun when you see this completed knitted I-cord coming down through the bottom of the little machine, and it looks really nice. So, I'm glad I used that, and I can see a lot of uses for that I-cord knitter. It does only, the one that I have, I don't know what size it is, but it's one, I think it's on the smaller side because it only knits a yarn up to, it says a size 3, but I have a size 4, like a DK weight, and it worked fine with that one. But anything bigger, I could definitely tell that was the biggest size of yarn that I could get to work in the machine, but it said like 0 to 3. But it's fun. So I am having fun with those Christmas balls, and I'll be able to gift some of those out. They're not perfect. In fact, on this one design that's a horse, I got done. I noticed that one of the legs of the horse, I got off the track of it, and so the bottom part of the horse's leg is 2 stitches over, so it's like disconnected from his leg. So I'm like, I am not taking this all apart. And I thought, ooh, Now I know how to duplicate knit. And so I am just going to duplicate knit the horse's leg down, continue it down from where it should be, which is basically a form of hand embroidery. And it looks like it's working. So there's always a way to fix things. In sewing and in everything. So I am really happy that I was able to figure out a solution and be able, of course, if I give this away to like one of my nieces and nephews, they're not even going to notice. But it's cute. It's a really cute design. I'm going to end the Chit Chat segment with a list of some shows that I have been watching, because I have had nothing but time on my hands, as you know, not being able to do much of anything else. I am going to just go through a list. I'm not going to go into big detail because we've got to move on and get to my conversation with Wendy. So here we go. On Netflix, there is a South Korean series, and it's called Crash Landing on You. It is subtitled. It's easy to watch though, because some subtitle shows are easier, I think, to watch than others, and this one is fairly easy. And it is such a good show, I think. The basic premise is a South Korean heiress accidentally ends up on the DMZ, North Korean side. And it's just a whole sort of like adventure, and you get to see the differences of people who grew up on the North Korean side versus the South Korean side. And, it's really good. I highly recommend that show. There is a new season of The Crown on. I have only watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes. And I just have to say the actress playing Princess Diana this season is a very good casting. She has her down. It's really good. But Prince Charles is Dominic West. I just don't get that one. Don't get it at all. But still, The Crown is a very good show. Another new show on Netflix is called Wednesday. And Wednesday is from the Addams Family. I love the Addams Family. Oh my gosh, I used to watch that show as a kid. And I like that show so much more than the Munsters. And this Wednesday show is so good. It's funny and entertaining. It has dark humor, but it's like funny, sarcastic kind. And Catherine Zeta-Jones plays the mother, and the girl, I don't know the actress's name, but she is perfectly cast. She does such a great job in that role as Wendy. So definitely watch that. I watched the whole season. I'm done. I could watch it again probably. It's just so good. Okay. BritBox and Acorn, there's a Danish crime show I've been watching. It's not new. It's called Summerdale Murders. And basically a husband detective, his best friend is his partner detective, and the one husband's wife, works in the same station in forensics. And there is a love triangle amidst the murders that they're trying to solve. So that is in a nutshell what that show is. FIFA soccer. Been watching that since last week and when it started. So, my husband and I will continue to watch that to the end. USA versus England is later on today. This is when, the day that I'm recording this segment. So by the time it goes up, you'll definitely know what the result of that is. Welcome to Wrexham. We're still not done with it, but there's a couple more episodes left. It is such a great show, even if you don't like soccer. It is just a heartwarming show of how Ryan Reynolds and his investment partner, Rob McElhenney, take ownership of this team in the lower tiers of UK soccer. And they really make these wonderful changes in the community, the way it changes and uplifts the community. It's such a good show. So I think that you would like it even if you don't like soccer, because it's not all soccer. So it's really very good. There's a bunch more, but I am going to end it there so that we can get into my conversation with Wendy Chow. I really enjoyed talking with Wendy from The Weekend Quilter. I think that her happy personality is so infectious, and you cannot help but get excited with her and be happy about all things quilting. We recorded this in mid-September, and I do have a link to the collaboration she talks about with Happy So Lucky. So there will be a link to that on my podcast blog, because when we recorded it, it wasn't yet released, and now it is. And there will also be links to everything else that we talk about. So this is really exciting. Here we go. So today I have a great guest, and she is Wendy Chow, and from The Weekend Quilter. And Wendy is from Australia, but she does live in New York now, and she is pretty much everywhere in the quilt industry. So I'm so excited to talk to you. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier, my name's Wendy, and I'm the founder of The Weekend Quilter. So sorry if Truffle's making a little bit of noise.
It's okay, because my dog, barks in the background, and it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm an Aussie modern quilter and designer based in New York City. I also co-host a podcast called Quilt Buzz, and I'm the author of Urban Quilting and the Quilted Home Handbook. So I'm born and bred in Perth, Australia, and I met my husband in New York City through my aunt while I was here for a graduate summer program. And, we hit it off after our first meeting. We kept in touch and then did long distance for 4 years and then got married. And then I relocated to New York City.
Oh, wow.
So
exciting.
Here I am.
That is quite a move. Because, Perth, I kind of know where it's at, but I mean, Australia weather is so much more mild than New York.
Right?
Yeah,
definitely.
So you have to adjust to the winters.
Oh yeah. Yeah, especially that. And then trying to get used to like the snow as well and like the cooler conditions. So I would say like with Perth, I guess the weather is fairly similar to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty much sunny and nice every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. I've actually kind of grown to love our Chicago weather with 4 seasons. So, I mean, I think I used to hate winter, but now I don't mind it as much because I like to get cozy and wear layers.
And you can wrap a quilt around yourself.
Yes, exactly. It's perfect quilting weather.
Exactly. Excuses to make more quilts for your home.
Yeah. So, okay. And then you have a really adorable dog, Truffle.
Yes. I'm a proud dog mama to Truffle the corgi. So she's about 18 months old and she brings so much joy and energy to our home. So yeah, we've had her for nearly a year, actually. I mean, by the time the episode comes out, but yeah, we got her end of September last year. So.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, she's pretty young then.
Yes.
My Cooper's going to turn 8 October 14th. So, but when I see you with your dog, I saw a video on YouTube when you made the dog quilted coat and your quilted coat. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. And I love seeing other people that are like dog parents like I am. And, we are the way we are with our dogs.
Oh my God. They're like the center of our world. And she's basically like a human child to us. And our like parents and our friends are like, oh my God, Wendy, you guys are obsessed.
Yeah, I know. Nobody else will get it besides like us, like actual dog lovers. I heard the saying, and so now I'm like completely like that's totally a true story. Is like there are dog owners and there are dog lovers. So we are dog lovers.
Yeah, I'm like one of those crazy dog parents that has what's called like just dog photos and videos on my like all over my phone. It just takes up a majority of like the memory space now.
Yes, I know. We do too. And then, my husband too is equally which is kind of funny, as crazy over Cooper. And so if I, if we go somewhere, Cooper and I, to the dog park or wherever, he wants like, send me a photo.
That's hilarious.
Because think about it. If you're at work and you're working all day long, and then in comes like a photo of your dog, it just kind of makes you smile.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I do send photos of Truffle to my husband throughout the day. And then sometimes he'll send me photos of her at daycare, because daycare has a baby cam. So he'll look on the baby cam every now and then, and then he'll send me videos and photos.
Oh,
it's really cute.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, anyway, so yes, we love our dogs, and they bring a lot to our lives. So let's talk about when you started quilting, and then go ahead, tell that story, and then kind of segue into when you started your full-time creative business. Cause I don't think you've been quilting like for decades. Cause first of all, you're really young.
Oh, my, thank you. Yeah, so I started quilting back in 2015, and my sister introduced me to the craft when she converted our parents' dining room into like a sewing room. So she learned how to quilt at her local quilt store, and then watching that whole process unfold and seeing all those really cute fabrics and, the finished product, it really sparked that interest in me. So then I taught myself how to quilt with the basics from high school home economics class. The weekend quilter didn't start till 2017. So I started that off as an Instagram account for me to just share my quilting journey and my makes, because I didn't want to bombard my personal account with quilting related things. So the Weekend Quilter Instagram account was my creative outlet, and I used it as a way for me to, hold myself accountable for living more of a balanced life between work and play, because I did used to work at a pretty demanding, corporate life, and working on the weekends, working overtime during the week were pretty normal. So that's why I started the Weekend Quilter, and hence the name, the Weekend Quilter. And then during the first year of me moving to New York City, I wasn't able to work because I didn't have my work permit at the time. So that kind of I've used that first 12 months to kind of reassess my sort of career path in the corporate world. And I put that, all that time and effort into creating and building content for the Weekend Quilter. And it wasn't till 3 days after receiving my work permit, I signed my first book deal with Blue Star Press. And then since then, I've never looked back or think about corporate life, and just followed my dreams to pursue a creative career path.
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it just fell into place for you.
It really did. Yeah. And it felt because I was in Perth, I was such I would say I was a bit of a lone wolf quilter. I was really shy, and, I wanted to join a guild. I wanted to be part of a guild, but I was just too shy to join because I was I didn't know anyone else. But I think definitely moving to the States, and, coming here where I didn't have my own set of friends, it really did make me, force myself to put myself out there. And a lot of these opportunities wouldn't have come if it wasn't, for relocating here. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I also think too that because you started the Weekend Quilter as an Instagram kind of account or, blog. And I think just around that time, was sort of like a perfect timing for you, because that was still sort of kind of, getting, popular, where people were branding on Instagram.
Yeah.
Back then. And so that was, it was really good. And you were probably consistent with it, and you do have beautiful photographs.
Okay.
So that's wonderful. I can't believe you got a book deal just like that.
I know, it was kind of crazy because at the time I only had about 5,000 followers on my Instagram account, and I was like, who is this person? Why do they want me to write a book? Really? And at the time I had only just started designing and creating my own quilt patterns as well. I think I only had written one or two quilt patterns, and I didn't have any sort of formal training in terms of how to use like in terms of like graphic designing or like a design background. So I kind of felt like, why does this person want to work with me? And I didn't like, I kind of like I didn't do any sort of like courses or classes on how to write quilt patterns. They were just something that I was self-taught and just like, you know, reading and following various different quilt patterns and just taking things that I did and didn't like and kind of mashing it up and making it my own.
Oh yeah, that's good. I know I'm kind of like doing that myself because, you know, not coming from, like a graphic design background, you really don't know. And, it's actually quite challenging to do the graphic design. It takes me forever, actually.
Yeah. Especially like when you're trying to teach yourself how to use a new program as well. Lately, like more recently, I've been trying to teach myself how to use Procreate and Illustrator, especially for foundation paper piece and templating. And it's for a long time I've put off, you know, using those or teaching myself how to use those two programs. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in the deep end and do it. And yeah, YouTube has helped me out a lot.
Yeah, me too. I learned Procreate on my own and I love it. And it's a lot easier to learn for me than Illustrator. Illustrator is not as intuitive and user friendly. Well, I can't say that about Procreate either because there's a lot of hidden things, how to do things in there.
Yeah. I'm still learning how with all those secret
it's just, I think the ease of it is more that you actually are drawing with an Apple Pencil and an Illustrator, you're using your mouse or I did get this, I'll show you this Wacom tablet.
Oh, yeah.
So it has like that pencil and you can draw on here and, you know, hook up to your, and you could use it as your mouse and stuff. But again, this is a different, it's not like using an Apple Pencil. It's not that easy. So, you know, it kind of, because wherever you're at on here is where you're at on your computer screen. So if you want to draw over here, then you have to hold the pencil over here. Yeah, it takes a little bit to learn it, but it actually, I've been starting to use it with Illustrator on the computer because the mouse is just hard. I don't know. Yeah.
And especially if you're using the laptop mouse as well, like it takes a little while to get used to.
Well, I'm happy to hear that other people are, you know, having that challenge as well. And are learning on their own. Because sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that doesn't know all this stuff.
No. Well, you now know someone else. So.
Yes. So, let's talk also about, I saw this, I think on your Instagram feed, that I wanted to mention. And, you said that, moving to a country that uses the imperial system and Fahrenheit, you will never convert to Fahrenheit, which I totally get because I don't want to ever convert to, Celsius. And that you Google, imperial to metric, and I do just the opposite. So I'm Googling metric to imperial all the time.
I must say though, I've gotten used to using pounds, inches, and yards because obviously, like, you know, from doing the groceries and quilting, but Fahrenheit always gets me. Like you could just, you know, throw out a number at me and I'll just just usually smile and nod and be like, yeah, like, and just pretend that like I got it, but really I didn't.
So when you hear, oh, it's going to be 85 degrees out today, you're like, what? But I think it's somewhere around 30 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I like in my mind, I'm like
30 is hot,
warm.
Right?
Yes, 30 is definitely like hot. Like in Celsius.
Okay. Yeah.
The only like sort of Fahrenheit number that I don't know is like 32, which is like 0 in Celsius.
It's freezing. Yeah.
Like,
they sort of like, that's where they meet, where they're the same, I think, or something, or similar. 0, I think, is where they're the same. Yeah. I know it's confusing to me too. And when we go to Canada to visit my sister-in-law, all the kilometers and the Celsius and the gas is sold to like liters and everything. It just like totally makes me crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even miles get me. I'm like, so that's like what, about 2-ish kilometers? Like it always gets me. So I just don't even bother. And to be quite honest with you, like I don't even drive at all living in the city. So I haven't driven since I moved over. So it's been quite a while, like nearly 4 years. So I mean, New York is one of those cities where you just walk everywhere. Anyway.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive. Well, and probably you get places faster by walking than if you were to drive.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Totally.
Here too, especially. My doctor's downtown in the city, and it took us 10 minutes to drive 1 block.
10 minutes. Yeah, that sounds about right.
There was construction, and then there were a million buses. I don't know why they were there at that, particular time of the day.
And I'm sure, like the pedestrians, that'll and bikes and everything add to the traffic.
They do, but the worst thing is that these cars have no patience. And they think if they cut in front of one person, it's going to get them to their destination that much quicker. Yeah. But yet they're the ones that are creating this bottleneck, because someone in the left turn lane will go straight when the light turns green and then try to cut over. Oh my gosh, that is the worst. It's the worst.
Like, that's one thing I don't miss about driving.
So, but, okay. So, let's talk about your quilting world. You mentioned that you design quilt patterns, and talk about just like your inspiration. And also I'd like to know a bit more about your quilt aesthetic when you design.
Yeah. So I would say inspiration is everywhere. Like if you're just walking down the street or you're watching something on, Netflix or TV, like I like to pause it, take a look at it. But yeah, a lot of my designs come from like nature, urbanscapes, architecture, and interior design. So I also love to flip through, or like just go shopping at CB2 or Crate and Barrel or West Elm for fun, just to kind of see what sort of colors are trending, what sort of bold patterns or shapes from there. Or I love flipping through different catalogs there as well. But yeah, generally I like to also take traditional quilt block designs and give it sort of a modern spin to it, to make it more sort of relevant for a modern home or space, and draw that connection between the past and the present as well. And as I previously mentioned as well, so recently I've been teaching myself how to use Illustrator and exploring the capabilities of foundation paper piecing when it comes to designing as well. In terms of my design aesthetic, I would say I love bold geometric shapes and colors and sort of unexpected color combinations that people might not necessarily consider. So just sort of an element of surprise there, as well as, it's just memorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I noticed that with your designs, and, this thing where a lot of times, in the quilting world, they want to put you in a category of traditional, modern, minimal, all of that. And, I don't know. It's weird. I've been struggling with this myself. And then, when I saw some of your designs, I'm like, we're kind of the same, but you're kind of like, you say you're a modern quilter, but I don't feel like I'm a contemporary quilter. But the fact that you take the traditional, which is what I like. I love those traditional blocks, but updating them with the color palettes, and just kind of, making them a little cleaner, that sort of thing. That's kind of what I am. So it's sort of like a bridge, I think, to both. And that's what I relate to as well. So I think that's why I relate to your patterns and color palettes. So we really don't have to be one or the other. I mean, we could totally be like a hybrid, which is what I think I am.
And I always like to say to, people that are recreating or using my patterns is you're the creative director. You can do whatever you want to do with it. My patterns are here just, to guide you, and, just go crazy and do your thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So also, you have these really beautiful pillows you posted on your Instagram with the Chinese characters, or is that what they're called?
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful. And I do love that you incorporate your culture into your quilting, because you're not only Australian, you're Chinese, correct?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So my parents are originally from Hong Kong.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit of a backstory about the project that you mentioned. So I actually so I released that. So that's the New Year's Blessings mini quilt. So I released that earlier this year, and it's like you mentioned, it's of a Chinese character, and it's actually one of the most popular and auspicious characters used throughout the Lunar New Year celebrations. So that one character, it means like happiness, blessing, and good fortune. So I came up with the design probably about 3 years ago, when my mum asked for like a new set of cushions to decorate her home for the Lunar New Year. And I did get, pretty good feedback from, my followers, and they're like, come on, like, bring that out as a pattern and whatnot.
I saw some of those comments. Yeah. Because you did not originally make it for a pattern. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was putting up the release of the pattern. Partly because I was like, I didn't have time, and I used time, like I didn't have time as an excuse a lot. But I was also a little bit worried, because I was like, would anyone want to buy that pattern at all? Would they be interested in it? Even though, like, there's a handful of people that were actually explicitly asking me for it, like, through Instagram DM and comments. And I guess like that worry came from was because, majority of like the people that are following me on the quilting community, it's largely made up of non-Asian consumers. So, but, it turns out the response was like, it exceeded my expectations, and it's now one of my best-selling quilt patterns.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, I guess like, this positive feedback kind of lit a fire in me to kind of continue to share my culture through the art of quilting, especially when there's, a handful of like Asian quilt designers in the community.
Yeah, for sure. But I love the meaning behind that for the new year, and the way that the pillow that I saw that was made, it's just each part of this character is some sort of a geometric shape, and it just looks so beautiful when it's pieced together.
Yeah,
like a patchwork. Yeah, it's really pretty. I've always loved the Chinese and Japanese writing the character, like, with the brush.
Yeah.
I just think it's just so beautiful. So yeah, what's interesting is that I'm half Korean.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
But I have such little, like, to do with my culture, because it was like I only was with my biological father for 2 years, and then my mom remarried, and I grew up in Chicago, and a child of the 70s, blended families were just not there. And I was actually like really made to feel I was so different and weird, and like I would have adults asking me, why do you not look like your brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Oh my God. That would have been such a hard time to grow up in.
Really hard.
Yeah.
And also my mom didn't know anything really about the culture, but she also didn't really promote it at all. So then I had my own thing of like, in my house, it's not even you don't even celebrate my culture that I'm half of. And it's just because they're from that generation, that time. And so, it's been kind of a struggle for me. But so just now, my adult years, I've been trying to learn as much, more about the Korean culture. Because even though I'm American and I grew up in, suburban Chicago, I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's hard for me to describe, but my DNA is still tied to a culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Australia. Like I'm born and bred there. And, the only opportunity or times where I go back to Asia is like during the school holidays. But even with that, like there's a lot of it that, that culture and history that I don't know either. And, with me sort of introducing more of these like sort of, Asian inspired quilt patterns and designs, it's a really good opportunity for me to learn more about my own culture as I research, and also a good opportunity to be able to share that with other makers as well in the community. So more recently, I collaborated with Breen Campbell of Happy So Lucky. So she's a Canadian quilt designer as well, and we combined her lunar zodiac animal quilt blocks with my New Year Blessings mini quilt pattern to create a larger design, and we're using this as an opportunity to share with the community the legend of the lunar zodiac animals and colors and symbolism in the Asian culture.
Oh wow, I love that.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I mean, obviously this is going to be available by the time it's aired, but basically we're going to be sharing that design in actually a couple of days. So we've been working on that.
Oh, you were going to share. Okay. So you can give me the link to that and I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. When it's ready. Yeah.
I'm really interested to see that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cute. Like Breen is so talented. I mean, she does an amazing job with those, she does really cute foundation paper piecing designs. So she originally first designed I think it was like the rooster block. And then each year she's kind of released in a different animal for the year. And there's this lady, her name's called Kathy, and she's in Malaysia. And so she kind of actually helped sort of, put this sort of, put our designs together, come up with the idea. But yeah, she kept messaging Marie. She's like, come on, do I have to wait for 12 years for all these 12 animals? So she kind of really encouraged her. And so she then, came up with all the 12 animals this year. And then we're now combining my design with hers because they kind of felt that there was something missing among the 12 animals. So it was just a perfect collaboration and fit between us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the animal thing is interesting too because it's not just by the month; it's by certain years.
That's right. Yeah, it's by the year, and there's a whole story behind it as well. So I won't, have any spoilers there. I'll let you guys find out.
Good. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited about this. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I always knew that there was a story behind the zodiac animals, but then I just kind of didn't really know the details. So it was really nice going back and trying to find out more about it and going in depth as I was researching for this collaboration.
Oh, good. Yeah. I know when you work on a project and you do, the homework and research, it's amazing the things that you just end up learning yourself as you develop it and design it. Oh, that's great. So your projects are published everywhere. And, for instance, Molly Makes magazine, which I love that one, and also love patchwork and quilting. And, it's funny because last January I was reading that, magazine, Love Patchwork and Quilting, and you did a collaboration with them of a block of the month, right? Yes. For 2022. Was that right? 21.
Yeah, 21. I think
21.
So. It seems so long ago.
I know, it's crazy. Time just goes by in a blur. But it's funny because I didn't know that you as in the Quilt Buzz co-host. So I was reading it and I'm Wendy Chow and I'm like, oh, that name sounds familiar. And I'm reading and then it says Quilt Buzz and I'm like, that's the same person. And then I'm like, I have to ask her if she'll be on the show because I just wanted to learn more about what you're doing. And so talk about just your collaborations with these magazines and what that experience is for you.
Yeah. I mean, I love working with these magazines, like especially like, with Love Patchwork and Quilting magazine. They're just so lovely. And it's always exciting to see the brief come into your inbox as well, because it's always of something that maybe you've wanting to do, but then you haven't had the opportunity or the time, or also like they come up with like a brief where you might not necessarily have thought of it before. And you're like, oh my gosh, like this makes me so excited to design and make that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's always like, it's always a good, experience as well. And also a way for you to kind of get your name out there and make it more legitimate as well. Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. Because your exposure, and Love Patchwork and Quilting is a UK magazine, but it's, I mean, widely read here in the States and around the world. It's a really great quilting magazine. So it really does get you out there, everywhere. But I thought that was a really, a cool block of the month, that you did. And also, see, you're really good at marketing. What was your corporate? Were you in marketing before?
I was actually.
No wonder. Okay.
Well, it was a kind of a different marketing though. I would say like it was more of the geekier side, where it's I did marketing research and consulting. So what we did was collect data and then interpret it, and with that information would then provide, advice to our clients and how they should proceed with maybe, forming their, I don't know, like strategies or their campaigns. So it was more of a geeky.
That's it. Yeah. But that parlays over into what you did. And just, it's almost like when I look at this and what you've done, it's sort of to me like a marketing 101 to me. I only took basic marketing classes in college, but I'm terrible at it. And so I'm seeing these things you do, and I'm like, that gives her exposure. That's why she's doing that. And, you know what I mean?
Honestly, I kind of just like throw things at throw spaghetti on the wall and see if it sticks or not. Like that's basically what I do.
Well, and you must say yes to a lot of things, because you also do like collaborations with other bloggers and do challenges and guest blog postings. I saw that you did a blog posting on the Megan Nielsen blog for the quilt coat, one of her patterns. And I love her patterns. I made her curvy wattle skirt this summer. I love it. But she's one of my favorite designers, because she also designs in extended sizes, but she designs with really nice lines and shapes.
I love her work. Yeah. I actually recently bought her her dress pattern. It was like a dress pattern set with like a top as well. I love her patterns. I recently started getting back into garment making.
Me too.
So she's this summer as well. And her patterns are so easy to follow. And fun fact, she's actually from Perth, Australia as well.
She is in Australia. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I didn't know it was Perth though.
Yeah. And I was surprised to hear about that. So, and I was kind of bummed because I noticed she recently posted on her Instagram saying that she had to shut her brick and mortar. And I was looking forward to visiting that when I went, was, planning to make my trip at the end of the year. But,
I mean, when you visit there, I'm sure you guys are going to have to meet up. For
I'm
sure. I mean, she's right there. Yeah, it's great. So I've got a few other patterns from her that I can't wait to try. But right now I'm almost done with it. But my brother's getting married October 1st, and I'm making my dress to wear to it. It's a cashmerette Upton dress.
Oh, very nice.
Liberty Tanalon. So.
Oh, yeah.
I was so nervous when I was making it, and I just kept giving myself an out. You still have time to buy a dress. You still have time.
But I feel like like going back to, making your own clothes, and then wearing it, and then for someone to say like, oh, that's really nice outfit. And you're like, oh, I made it. Like that satisfaction of saying that I made it just makes it like, you just feel so good about yourself.
You do. Yeah. And to me too, I'm always amazed how I can just with, cutting and sewing and thread can turn a flat textile into a piece of clothing. Mm-hmm. It just blows my mind sometimes. And this is the first time that I really paid attention to making a muslin of the bodice. And I did have to make like 2 to 3 changes. Mm-hmm. And Cashmerette does a really good job at kind of, guiding you on how to do that. And I'm so glad I did, because if I would not have made that muslin and just cut into my Tanalon, I would have been crying. This would not have looked nice. So I'm really happy at how it has turned out. All I have to do is finish the zipper and hem it and stitch in the lining. I mean, that's it. I'm going to be wearing it.
That's awesome. I'm terrified of zippers. I think I've ever sewn it once. That's it. I think it's a quilter thing, to be honest. Like buttons.
It is a quilter thing, yeah.
Buttons and zippers. Like, I think it's a quilter thing. Even just like, it's funny because when I did post things about my quilting jacket, they're like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. And I was like, oh my God, it's so easy. And a lot of the time, like, quilters are like, oh no, I don't know if I can do 3-dimensional quilting, sewing. I'm like, yes, you can. Like, if you can follow a quilt pattern and you can cut, pieces really precisely and everything locks in, you could do the same thing with like a regular garment pattern.
You can. And the one coat you did for the Free Spirit Challenge, that one I don't even think had a closure in the front, did it? Or
it didn't have a closure. I think, it didn't have a closure at the front.
That's super easy. Yeah.
I mean, I think there was an option where you could put the button on, but I was like, no. It's like, I'm not whipping out that. There's like a special foot for the buttonholes, which it does make it easier to sew buttonholes now. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was like, no, I'm not bringing it. Like, I will just, suck it up and just get all that wind in me.
Yeah.
As you're walking through the wind tunnels and
But you made you added a lining to it,
yes,
right?
I did. Yeah.
And I think that really elevated it and it looks really nice. And linings too can be intimidating to people, but talk about how you did that.
So what I did was with the lining, I think in the pattern originally suggested like sewing the 3 layers together. So it was like the jacket top, the batting and the lining, and then quilting it all up together. But I kind of felt like, no, what are you going to do with the raw edges inside when you do that, when you join all the pattern pieces together? So I kind of then went a little rogue and did it my way, where I cut up the lining fabric and then sewed it up together as if it was like a second jacket. Mm-hmm. And then I flipped it the wrong way out and then slide it into the exterior of the jacket. So basically you're kind of like wearing 2 jackets. And then I based sew the edge, the lining and the exterior of the jacket and the batting together. Mm-hmm. And then I used bias binding to then cover up the edges. And generally with the batting and the lining, they kind of like stick together on its own. And, when you put the jacket on, it kind of melds in together. So you don't really need to, put batting spray or anything to secure the lining together with the batting, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. So you just cut, the sleeves and the body and like you said, turn it the wrong side out. And then on the inside, it's the lining side. And since you did binding, it could even be reversible.
Yes,
just with the pockets on the inside.
Yes. Yeah. That's all right. That still works.
It does. It's really cute. And I love the way you did the patchwork where it was centered on the coat. And then you also made one from, it was like a quick sew pattern. I think I have that pattern too. I want to make Quilter Cooper one. But you centered that, quilt block right in the center of the back of the dog coat, and it is so cute. Oh, I love it.
The secret to centering quilt blocks on your jackets is what I do is you get the original pattern, and then you get Swedish tracing paper, which is kind of like interfacing, and it's pretty durable. Anyway, so I put that on top and then trace it over on top of the original pattern, and then because the tracing paper is slightly transparent. So when you have created those quilt sandwiches, you lay that template over that, and you can just kind of like centralize the tracing paper on top of the block to then center.
It's almost like fussy cutting for clothes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
that's how I got it.
That's great. It really looks fantastic. And that's not the only quilt coat you made. I've seen like a couple more through your Instagram feed. They're so cute. And I like the color combinations that you've done. So, we'll put definitely the, link to your Instagram out there for that. So that was you just did the, Free Spirit Challenge earlier this year.
That's right.
Yeah, that was really great. Oh, and I'll put a link too, because you did Free Spirit posted the video that you submitted to them, and it's really good. It is so good. Yes. Okay. Let's move on to podcasting. So you're one of 3 co-hosts of a podcast called Quilt Buzz. Amanda at Broadcloth Studio, and Anna at Wax and Wayne Studio, and Wendy Chow, which is you, the Weekend Quilter.
Yeah, so for those that aren't familiar with Quilt Buzz, so we are a podcast, and every other week we release a new episode that's about 30 minutes long with different guests from the quilting community. So each episode we dive deep into their stories, their quilting journey, their pitfalls, their successes, what drives their creativity and inspires them, and down to like the really nitty-gritty stuff where we asked them, like, do you wear shoes while you sew? And we wanted to give our guests a platform where they can, they might not necessarily be able to express, a platform to share what they might not necessarily be able to express in a few words or pictures on social media. With our guests, we aim to highlight diversity within the quilting community, from like backgrounds, cultures, different walks of the quilting journey, to different roles as well. So in the past, we've interviewed quilts and fabric designers, long arm quilters, Korean patchwork artists, quilt judges, fabric store owners, brand managers, authors, and many more. And, we do this because, we want to give back to the community by giving our guests the opportunity to, promote themselves and highlight, the awesome work that they're doing and how they're implementing the vision into the quilting community. And indirectly, we wanted to help our listeners to feel, more connected with other members of the quilting community, and, make them aware of different companies and individuals that they might not necessarily come across in their quilting paths. Because I guess, when you're on your Instagram, you're following a certain number of people or, certain followers, but you might not necessarily, know what else is beyond that bubble that you're following. And from a selfish standpoint, we wanted to socialize with other quilters and talk to our quilty crushes.
Yes. Absolutely. It's fun. It's fun to talk with other people in the quilty world. And it's very interesting. And I listen to your podcast. So
okay. Oh, thank you.
I do. I think one of the ones I just listened to was I forgot her name, but her business is making quilt kits every week.
Oh, yes. Emily from Quilt 101.
Yes.
And I'm guessing you'll put that in the show notes, the episode.
Yes.
But yeah, I really enjoyed listening to her story and just like the inspiration behind the business. It's really inspiring for sure.
It is. It really is, because she works with her mother and sort of remotely. most of the year, but I mean, they do get together, but it was a very interesting story. And like you said, I had not heard of them before. So that was a good interview. And then you guys also do at the end every time this little, quick questions.
Yeah. A rapid fire. Yeah.
Rapid fire. Yeah. So tell me what you would answer as far as your, whether you like to Netflix or music or silence when you're quilting.
I definitely have something on all the time. So it would be, I would say, well, usually I love trashy TV, and I love like trashy reality TV. So basically anything TLC or Bravo TV.
Housewives.
So like I would say all the Housewives franchise. I didn't really get into Miami this year, but I'm hoping to maybe be able to jump back into it. But yeah, I basically watch all of it, and like all the Bravo stuff, probably except for Below Deck and Southern Charm, New Orleans, and
Below Deck. The first few seasons were good, and then it just kind of like,
yeah. And I did see that there's an Australian one, which I'm like really keen to. I think it's only on Peacock though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and basically anything 90 Day Fiance, like I love that.
That's funny.
I mean, I did come to the US on a K1 fiance visa, and then we got married like within a few days after I arrived. So I felt that, I had some sort of connection there, but obviously like my relationship with my husband is like not as toxic or like distfunctional like
well, and it technically wasn't like a 90-day fiance situation. I mean, you guys had a 4-year
long distance.
But it is very different when you start to live together, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean, if we were able to survive like, being in lockdown for 4.5 months in our bedroom while the rest of the apartment was a construction zone, and we didn't fight or anything, like,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
I was like, strange times back then.
Yes, for sure. And then, do you sew with your shoes on or off or slippers?
Definitely off.
See, it's good to know. See, I hear you guys asking everybody else those questions. I'm like, I wonder how they do it. Your favorite snack?
My favorite snack. Okay. It's definitely gummy lollies. Those are my favorite for sure. Yeah.
Gummy lollies.
Yeah. I recently was introduced to these gummy bears while I was shopping at Target. They recently opened up a Target near our apartment, and been going there a lot. I think it's like Albee's gummy bears. I'm like Googling it now.
Albee's, because I only know of the Haribo or
Haribo, yeah.
Haribo, yeah.
No, this one is better. So it's called Albanese. I think that's how it's said. So ALBANESE. Gummy bears. And there's like 12 different flavors, and it's just more chewy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I recently discovered last year is this Australian licorice. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Duralay?
I think so. Yeah. They come in the little pieces. I wish I remembered the name of it, but I know it's Australian.
Yeah.
And they are so good.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Very chewy and not too sweet. So I can get them on Amazon, but then I recently saw them in a local store. I forgot where it was at, but I was just like, oh my gosh, there's the Australian. Oh, it was at Ace Hardware of all places.
Oh, really?
Yes. And like, they have the Australian licorice.
That's awesome. I haven't had that in a long time. They're
good.
Yeah, they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know. And it just makes me think, this comes from Australia. So how do they keep it so fresh for so long?
I don't know.
I know there's a way. I guess, by air, it's only like maybe 14 hours, but maybe that's how they do it.
That'd be really expensive to get over it was by air.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because if it goes on a long boat, I don't know how long it could stay fresh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think of those weird things like that sometimes.
I'm just encouraging you, just going there.
Yeah.
I'm an enabler.
So let's move on to book writing and publishing. So you have a book out already that came out early 2021 called Urban Quilting. And that must be the book that you talked about that you were approached by.
Yes.
When you got to New York. Yeah. So how was that?
Yes, that was my first book. So in that book, there's 10 different quilt patterns, each with 3 different sizes for the modern home. And the content and the design in the book, they're written for quilters that are about to embark on their quilting journey, and also for seasoned quilters that want a refresher or need something to kind of fill in the knowledge or sort of basic gaps. Fill in the base of, you get what I mean.
Yes.
But yeah,
the gaps on the basics.
yeah, that thing. But also I wanted to provide insight into, the background of each quilt, from the quilt history to the inspiration, to kind of allow the reader to feel more connected to the craft and to myself as well.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. And, what was interesting, I saw about this book is that 3 people did a really nice forward. I think those were forwards, right, to your book, and one was by Jackie Gehring.
Yes.
How did that happen?
I love her book so much.
I love her too.
Yeah, I actually went to her. It's kind of going off track a little, but I went to her book launch event at QuiltCon 2020, and she was so much fun. I really enjoyed meeting her in person. But how did I get that? I just simply emailed her and asked, hey, I've got this book coming out. Would you be willing to, preview it and then write us a nice testimony that we could then use on the back cover and marketing? Okay. Purposes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of if you don't ask, you never know.
It's so true, because it's kind of like what I did. She was on my show early on, and she was one of the few bigger name people that I had attempted to ask, and she said yes, and I was just like, whoa.
I know, it was great. A fangirl moment.
yes, yeah. So you're so right. It's just what can they do? Say no, and some people do say no, but it will surprise you at who will say yes and who will say no. And then you have someone like Jackie Gehring, who is so gracious, and she's busy and she's uber successful. So for her to say yes, it meant so much to me, and I'm sure it meant so much to you too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Total fangirling. And you know what? Sometimes I feel if someone says no to you, it's okay. Like you said, you can just move on, and maybe that opportunity will come up again, or if not, a better opportunity comes your way. So, I'm a believer of, things happen for a reason. So
yes. Yeah. The power of positivity. That's for sure. Oh, well, good. Congratulations on that book. And then you have a new book coming out soon.
That's right.
And we're recording this in mid-September, but the book is going to be coming out either by the end of this year or early 2023. So talk a little bit about that book and what we can look forward to.
Yeah. So the second book is called The Quilted Home Handbook. So this was inspired by our 18-month home renovation. And for a good 12 months or so, we lived in a construction zone. And a lot of the times, my mind kind of wondered, what would my home look like when everything is done? And this is sort of our very first own home together as, husband and wife. So, we were kind of what sort of personalized touches do we want at home? And of course, with quilting, you kind of think what kind of quilted touches can I put around in this newly renovated home? So in addition to quilt patterns in this book, the for the, quilt patterns for your couch and your bed, there are other types of projects for your home. For example, like throw cushions, wall hangings, coasters, placemats, and many more. And so all up, there are over 10 patterns. And also some of the patterns could also be converted into wall hangings as well. So for example, it might be like a throw cushion pattern and you don't want to do the insert component of it, you can then convert that into a wall hanging, and there's instructions on how to do that and prepare your quilt to become a wall hanging.
Great.
And I guess what's different about this book compared with the first book is that all the projects look more cohesive when they are put together as well. So it does encourage the reader to create more than one project for their home or maybe for someone else. And the color inspirations are based on 3 main color groups that, people might consider when they're, decorating their home. So the 3 main color groups are neutral colors, warm and bright colors, and cool and dark tones and colors. So it's unlike, the first book where it was just like, random sort of color combinations and, whatever kind of looks good. This time around, I really want to encourage people to kind of like, create more than one project. And, with the color inspirations page, it's only just there for, someone to, kind of like draw inspiration from. They might not necessarily have to, I'm not saying like you have to create these projects in these colors. It's just a inspiration sort of section there.
Yeah.
But I must say though, it is really nice and so encouraging when you do see other people creating the projects in the suggested or like, the example color inspirations. But yeah, aside from all the patterns, color inspirations part, the first half of the second book provides tips on, styling ideas and how to integrate quilted touches into your home. And there's, of course, step-by-step instructions on how to assemble a quilt from the start to finish, and then different quilting finishes, showing different, examples of different quilting finishes on on your domestic sewing machine, and then how to prepare like a quilt to be a wall hanging and bias binding as well.
That's good, because we all kind of know about wall hangings, but not a lot is often focused on the back of it and how to hang it. And there's so many ways that you can hang it. But, some ways are easier than others and less intimidating. Yes. So yeah. I think that's good that you highlighted that in your book. And the 3, the color directions are perfect.
So it's definitely, I would say it's a very different compared with the first book. And I definitely took a lot of the learnings from the first book and, the feedback and incorporated it into the second book. So, like a typical market researcher, go on like Amazon, look at the reviews, look at the 1-star reviews, 2 stars, 5-star, and kind of combined all the positive and the negative feedback and then kind of just sort of pushed it together into this one thing.
Wow, that is so interesting. I am I'm having a good time hearing this because that's the marketing part is where I am not the best at. So to look at all that kind of stuff, it's weird. Okay, side note, but
it's okay.
On YouTube when they have those video recommendations, there was a video on there. I don't know. It's like a subscription or whatever you can do, but it's like what you're talking about. You put like, your idea in there and then it'll come up with all of these, like how popular it is, if it's oversaturated, if it's not oversaturated, in the market, you know what I mean? So that you can, like, it was geared toward Etsy sellers. So what they're making so that they can kind of zone in on, well, if something's not going to sell, then it's going to be like way down here. But if it's overexposed, maybe you're not going to get as much. But if it's like right there, kind of, in the middle, it was like fascinating to me. I just couldn't even believe. Yeah, I forgot the name of that software or the subscription. It started with an A, but when I hear you talking about it, I'm like, that's the same thing I just saw.
No, this was just nothing sophisticated. It was just me scrolling through the comments. Like I had
But that's
like,
what they are doing, though.
Yeah.
They are preparing. So they're doing the work of that, and they're creating this database of what you're doing for yourself, of looking for your own project. And I've just never really seen that before. So it's quite interesting. Like, I just don't even delve into that kind of left brain side of, actually looking at what's out there and what are these reviews?
I must say, like, it is valuable, but at the same time, you're going to have a little bit of thick skin to like go through it, because there are some pretty like brutal like reviews or comments or opinions on there, and you're like,
oh really?
Like, like I had this woman, she's like, oh, I didn't like the colors that Wendy had suggested, like, she uses a lot of brown, like I hate brown. It's like along the lines of that, and you're like, okay. It's like, it's just a color inspiration, like you don't have to like follow it to the T, but like you're the creative director there, you can do whatever you want, but else it's kind of like, ow, like, so you gotta get yourself in that mood.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's true, because now those books are your books are on Amazon, and of course anybody can type anything they want.
Oh yeah.
On Amazon, and like that. What do they call that? The typing bravery or whatever, but they would never say it if they were face to face with you.
Yeah, they're like trolling you or something.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, just say it to my face. Like, I want to see you say that to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. No, I've had one of those too, like on the actual podcast review last year.
Oh.
And then I didn't know how to, so I kind of like turned it into like this market research for myself. And like on my next episode, I just mentioned, well, I read the review and it said like, oh, she rambles too much and doesn't get to the story. Like, they wanted to just hear the interview with the person, but I do the segment of chit chat, and most people that have contacted me have said they love that.
Yeah.
But then like when you get that jarring comment, then you start like thinking and reviewing I was just like kind of reviewing for myself. Like, am I being blind to this? Is this something that I need to change?
Yeah.
Or,
But the good thing is that, you are sitting down and reflecting on it and, thinking how you can improve it, because there are some people out there where they're like, they get that feedback, but then just, dismiss it and then continue on. So
yeah. Absolutely. Well, and from what I hear, the bigger you get, the more of that you'll get too.
Yeah. So. Which is kind of like scary as well.
Even like with Tula Pink, I have seen some comments on there and I am like, you have got to be kidding me. Somebody actually typed that and pressed send. Yeah. It was just horrendous.
And it's like, what do you do? It's like, do you respond to it? Do I not? Like, and when you do respond to it, you're like, okay, so if I respond to it, am I making it worse? Am I causing more of a scene? Or if I'm not responding to it, then am I making it worse because of my silence? It's really,
Yeah.
It's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. But I think, like, for instance, the one that you mentioned about the color, that doesn't even need a response because that's just someone's personal, it's so subjective. Yeah. But I think if it's more or less maybe attacking your character or something like that, maybe then you would be like, okay. Shut this down. Oh, well, you know what? The good comes with the bad. And this book sounds absolutely wonderful. I cannot wait.
Yes, I'm so excited to share it.
Okay. I am going to put the links in the show notes where everyone can find you, like your website.
the.weekendquilter on Instagram. And then on my website, it's the-weekendquilter.com.
Okay.
Yeah. They didn't allow me to have a dot there.
Oh, okay.
It's a URL thing.
Okay, good. So in conclusion, what is just one quilting tip that you would like to leave us with? Yeah.
So I would say try out different techniques and different ways in doing things and discover, what you like and what you you feel most comfortable with. And just don't worry about what people have to say about, what you do and how you do things. You do you. And that's my advice to you guys.
Wonderful. I love it. Wendy, thank you so much. I had such a good time talking with you. And I'm so glad that we had this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I could talk to you all day long, but it's been so lovely talking to you as well.
Thank you. Oh, love it. All right. And we will be talking a little bit more for my patrons. So if you're not a patron, Wendy's going to give us some, behind the scenes info on her quilt coats and the quilted dog coat. So check out my Patreon page if you want to hear that conversation. All right. Take care. And thank you. Thank you, Wendy.
Bye.
Bye. If you would like a bonus episode every month, become a patron and support the Make and Decorate podcast show at my Patreon page, Make and Decorate. For extended show notes with links and photos to what we've talked about, visit my podcast blog at makeanddecorate.com. And remember to take some time for yourself to be creative. Bye-bye.